Hello and welcome. It's Marilyn Devonish from transformationstm.com, and I noticed today that one of the things trending on Twitter was Book Lovers Day, and it kind of just got me thinking about books, because obviously as a photo reading instructor, it's one of the things that I handle a lot. I meet lots of people who have various insecurities about books, and or they just simply don't have the time to read, they don't enjoy reading, they find reading stressful. If we're talking about learning difficulties, dyslexia, dyspraxia, even autism, I meet all sorts of things, and so it just kind of got me thinking about books and the love of books. And one of the things that I realized was there were some books that were pivotal in turning the direction of my life around. So what I wanted to do is share with you 4 of those books that for me have been pretty magical. And when I say kind of unlocking the potential, because I think books are magic. Within the pages of books, it's a whole other world. And anyone who has, let's say, a favorite book series, I guess an obvious one in current times was looking at the whole phenomenon of Harry Potter, people would just be completely lost in the world. And the books I'm going to share with you, they're not necessarily the oldest books that I've got, because I do remember, God, I must have been in my very early 20s when Oprah sat down with Gary Zukav, and I was just like, wow, there's a whole new world. And I remember going out and buying that book, The Seat of the Soul, because the soul concept to me, that was kind of alien. And so I was just, of course now I'm a soul plan reader, so that just sounds completely ridiculous, but back in those days I just remember being taken by the topic and thinking, I'm going to have to look into this in more detail. So there are tons of books that I could go through, but what I've done is I've picked 4, and I've got a bonus 5, and I'll tell you how to find out about that one later. But I'm going to pick the 4 that, when I just thought about it this morning, they are the ones that immediately came to mind. And I guess, ironically, because one of the books I'm going to talk about is this one here. Hang on, so you can see that. Denise Linn, and it's called Signposts. And what it says on the back of this: in every moment, the universe is whispering to you. Now, I have been fascinated with the idea of synchronicity since I first learned about it when I was 18, and I did A-level psychology, because one of the people we studied was Carl Jung. And so we weren't necessarily studying synchronicity per se, but it was a sideline of his. So that was when I first got intrigued by the idea, but I didn't really live synchronicity. It was just an idea, an academic idea, which was interesting to me. And I think coming across the 2 books I'm about to talk about, they were, I think, my first living embodiment of synchronicity, even though at the time I didn't clock it as such. It was just, oh, that's interesting. So what happened with these particular books, one of them being Denise Linn, I had been to see the endocrinology department at Watford General Hospital. I was kind of new to that part of town, and so I got lost on the way back, which, if I show you where it is now, if any of you come down for a workshop and we happen to, it's towards the Three Guys Burgers Bar. If I show you where it is now in relationship to everything else, you'd be like, really? You got lost? But I was coming out direction. I got lost. And I remember walking up what I now know to be Market Street. And as I'm walking back and I finally start recognizing the center of town, I'm like, oh, thank God I found my way back. As I was walking, something to my left just whoosh. And I was just hit by this smell of incense. And it was just beautiful. So I just remember stopping. I looked to my left, and then the first thing I saw was a load of dream catchers hanging in the window. Then I noticed crystals. Also, what I would have classed as Gothic art and statues, really not my thing at all. But the smell, first of all, was what attracted me. And then I kind of like, oh God, what on earth is this place? And as I'm looking, I noticed a bookcase inside. And I don't know, I just thought, it smells so lovely. It looks really weird, but I'm just going to go in. So I remember walking in and just kind of half looking around. I didn't know anything about crystals. I just remember seeing a load of stones. The shop was absolutely packed from floor to ceiling with all sorts of wonderful goodies. And then I thought, oh, well, I'll have a look at the bookcase. And as I approached the bookshelf, two books pretty much leapt out at me, like they almost jumped off the shelf. So one was the Denise Lynn, the other one, which again, complete curveball. Let's just put into context where I was at in my life. I had done a business studies degree. I'd done a postgraduate marketing diploma with the Chartered Institute of Marketing. I was at that point working, probably at that point, was like the investment bank. Well, if I wasn't, I was nearly there. And I had aspirations to be a chartered accountant. So it could not be fully do now. So with that in mind, that's the person that walked into this store, which was a beautiful shop owned by a woman called Faye Charlotte. It's called The Oracle. It's no longer there, unfortunately. And this was the second book. And it's called Mind Magic by a woman called Betty Shine. Again, never heard of Betty Shine. And for some reason, I picked these two books up and I walked them over to the shelf, hand them to Faye, didn't know who she was at the time. She looked at the book, she looked at me, and she says, "These books will change your life, they will." And I remember the anger that welled up. Now, I was not in a good emotional space. This was also a time where, you know, if I wasn't bald already, I was going bald. You know, I went from what was a natural size 8 in terms, when I say that, I mean, I wasn't dieting and all that sort of stuff. That was just my physical form, to a size 16. I went from having really beautiful clear skin, and I don't say that because I'm saying it. People used to stop me in the street and ask what products I use on my skin. And I went from having really beautiful skin to looking like the pizza face girl. And so I was not in a good place anyway. I knew that what I was doing with regards to work wasn't where I wanted to be, which hence looking at becoming a chartered accountant. And then I'd been to the hospital, who at that point, this is around the time I was also in the place of being diagnosed with the early onset Alzheimer's, all that kind of stuff was going on. So I wasn't in a good place emotionally. And then to have this woman who doesn't know me from Adam, as we used to say back in the day, looking at me going, "Oh, these will change your life, they will." I just remember a swear word in my head. I was like, "Who the bleep do you think you are? And what do you know about my life?" Didn't say that out loud, of course. I just sort of grimace, hand her the money, walk out with the books. And Faye was absolutely right. They absolutely now, for those of you who know Faye Charlotte, she's a psychic and clairvoyant, so it doesn't nowadays, like, yeah, dark. But particularly the one about Betty Shine. For those of you who've never heard of Betty Shine, she's no longer with us, but she's a medium. That was alien to me. That was absolutely alien. But I was so touched by this book. I'm getting goosebumps now. I actually wrote to Betty Shine, and she wrote back. This is the letter. Hang on. Yeah, there we go. I don't know if you can see the postmark on it. 23rd of February, year 2000. God, it cost 19 pence back then to send this stuff. So this is the letter that I wrote to her. I still kept it all these years ago. So what are we now? That's pushing. Oh God. So you get a typed written letter back. So she says, "Thank you, dear." So partly typed written and partly handwritten. So hang on, let me go the wrong way. She also wrote, so it's partly typed, but then she writes a message as well. So, "Dear Marilyn, thank you for your letter, the context of which has been noted. I apologise for any late reply during response to my column in the Daily Mail. Healing always begins on the receipt of a letter," because I was in a bad way in terms of my health. I was desperate, didn't know where else to turn. Imagine somebody who's very academic writing to a medium that she's read about in a book. Crazy. She says, "My aim is to reach out to everyone around the world so that they can link into the healing network whenever they need it, regardless of time or place. To do this, use the symbol above as a focus." And now, I mean, I ran the Higher Self Therapy HUNA teleseminar this week, and I'm about remote healing, the fact that I can have clients as far afield as Australia. I'm out here in the UK, they'll get the healing. But in the year 2000, no, I never heard of such a thing. So this is all crazy. She says, "I'm aware." Oh, that's so cool. "I'm sure you're aware that the many talents I have acquired throughout my life are brought into action when assessing what kind of distant healing or other advice is to be given. This takes time, and my staff who assist me to have to be paid. The cost of this service is mounting all the time. May I therefore ask that you send a reasonable donation so that I can continue. Please help me to help you. If, however, you are unable to help in this way, rest assured that healing will still be given. Keep in touch. With love, Betty Shine." And then she says in pen, even if you only listen to my voice, it will help you. Special healing has begun. And so, you know, I did write back, I did send them a donation. But, you know, it's kind of, this was so outside of my comfort zone. I never in a million years dreamed that what I was reading about in this book and what I received in this lovely letter from Betty would end up being my life. But as Faith said, this will change your life, this will. And the same with the signs from Delise Lynn. I remember reading the book, and, you know, it talks about feathers and coins and all sorts of stuff, which again, I was like, really? Really? And now, of course, oh, seriously, oh my God, I've just opened it at random. The big talk, if you guys have been following my GoFundMe journey, some of you would have seen the picture of the guy wearing the leopard print jacket, and you might have seen me post a picture of my leopard print sofa. First word I see when I open the book is leopard. This is a powerful sign of prowess, cunning, and stealth. The leopard also expresses ferocity, valor, and power. In all your enterprises, call upon the qualities of the leopard to attain strength and success. Now that is freaking cool, because some of you would have seen this week I wrote I wrote a blog, but also did a video about feeling a sense of crushing disappointment with doing the GoFundMe campaign, as well as euphoria for the few people that have donated. And so if I was going to be talking about signals and signs, it's a reminder that the very thing I've been sharing about the leopard print, and I've got leopard print sofa. If you saw the picture, there's a leopard print box next to it, a wooden box with leopard print on the top. If you were to go to my kitchen cupboard, you would see the leopard print mugs and the leopard print teapot, one of which was a gift. I didn't buy those, all of them. But yeah, the leopard has been, but I hadn't thought about the qualities of the leopard, about the strength and success. So I'm definitely going to, you know, think about that one. Thanks, Denise, darling. But this one really opened me up to the idea of signs, and of course synchronicity. Now, if you guys follow my synchronicity files page on Facebook, you'll know that synchronicity is my life. So those were two books that I bought back in, you know, very late 90s, early 2000s. And of course this letter from Betty is a bit of a timestamp, because I presume I wrote to her a couple of months after I got the book. So those were two that I didn't know it at the time, but they changed the direction of my life. One that I didn't realize at the time would be so pivotal, because I used this book like a crutch rather than an enjoyable read. Here we go. Can you see that one? Acts of Faith. Hold it up a bit. Acts of Faith by Ayanla Van Zandt. And it's a daily one. So there's a different message for every single day of the year. So you can almost use it like a diary. So today, in real time, it's the 9th of the month. So I'd go to this month, I'd look at what's on, actually I'm quite curious now, look at what's on that month, just being nosy. Let's see. Oh, this is about relationships. We often have such unrealistic expectations of our mates that if we do not want them to measure up, it's as if we do not want them to measure up. We want them to be like, act like, behave like some idealistic model we have cooked up in our minds. Cool. I want a mate. I want more than a mate. I want a friend. Only choose to marry a woman whom we would choose as a friend if she were a man. Joseph Joubert. So every day you would pick a message from this book. I know exactly when I got this book. It's for my 28th birthday, because when I opened it, there's a note from my sister in there, handwritten note. I'm liking the handwritten theme that's going on at the moment. So it says, Marilyn, I hope you will find this book to be as inspirational as I have. Happy 28th birthday. Lovely. I remember reading this book, and then, because again I seen Ayanla on Oprah back in those days, so I had, after I got this, I also bought a couple of her other books, Value in the Valley and that sort of thing, and I read this book wishing that I could experience some semblance of what the words talked about. It was kind of alien to me, and of course now when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, makes total sense. But at the time it was wishing and hoping and aspirational, rather than this is my life and this is what I'm experiencing. So this was another one that at 28, it was like there's a parallel universe running, and that there are people out there who experience this kind of living. But it was another one, and when I got into personal development, went back to this book, I was like, now it all makes sense. So, you know, that was another one that was pivotal, and I think one that supercharged everything. and actually then made it possible for me to even contemplate reading the more than 1 or 2 books a year, because that's all I could basically manage, was this one here, the photo reading book. And this one made everything else possible. And at the time I came across this book, must have been around about 1997, 1998. That's the point I was desperate, because at this point now my doctor has confirmed that I have what appears to be the symptomology of early onset Alzheimer's. There was nothing, he said there's nothing he could do for me. I was actually by then studying to be a chartered accountant, really struggling. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the ACCA books, but they're that thick and they're big A4 books. I've actually got one that I've kept just as a reminder on the shelf in the other room. I was struggling. I was having to read those books 15 to 20 times just to remember a handful of facts. So I was pretty desperate. And I think I was pretty desperate for me to buy signposts and Mind Magic. That was a place as well. I was like, whatever, I'd give anything a go. And it was a bit like that with photo reading. I had no big expectations. I was like, whatever, read at 25,000 words per minute, drinking information like you're drinking it in through a fire hose. You know, remember and recall whatever you've read at lightning speed, blah, blah, blah. I was just reading blurb, and I was like, this is American BS. However, for some reason, I gave him my money, couple of $100 back in those days, sent off for what were the tapes. The book was a part of it. I've actually, I don't know if you can see my bookshelf, actually. Oh, see if I can do it without them all falling out. Hold on. So I don't use the tapes, of course. I've just kept them for prosperity, you know, just for, you know, old time's sake. But that was the the home study course back then. But part of it was the photo reading book. And I'll be honest, at the time I got it all, I did think it was a load of hype. I didn't kind of believe it could be true. So I did it half-heartedly and kind of left it on one side, and it gathered dust for about 2 years, until I ended up, again, seemingly by accident, on an NLP training. And the guy who was running the training, because people said, how do you remember all of this stuff? You know, he's quoting facts, figures, names, dates, places. And he had a folder on the music stand, but he wasn't standing like reading the folder. He was basically just talking, and every once in a while would look at something for reference. And so he said to the group, there's probably, I don't know, 65, 70 of us there. He said to the group, I read 60 to 70 books, anything up to 60 to 70 books a month. I'm like, well, damn, this man don't get out much, because who the hell has got time for that when you have pretty much a full-time job? And then, of course, somebody says, what? Yeah. And they want to be, are you sure? 50, 60, even up to 70? That's kind of madness right there. And so somebody, of course, says, how do you do that? And he says, oh, I photo read. And in that moment, I was like, I've got that book and I've got those tapes at home. And of course, I look on the back of the resource table. Sure enough, there were the tapes. And I was like, okay, well, I thought it was nonsense. So I've been gathering dust for 2 years. I'm going to go home and I'm going to actually put it to the test. I'm going to listen to every single tape without second guessing and without thinking I know best and without thinking it's all a load of rubbish, because that's actually what I was thinking when I was doing it first time round. And within the space of 3 weeks, my whole life had changed. And I went from handing in the worst test, and this is an open book test, you do it at home in your own time. I had several months to do the practitioner test. I went from handing in the worst test in terms of practitioner to 3 weeks later, having just gone back and gone through this book and listened to the tapes, to handing in the best test for master practitioner. And the master practitioner test was way more complex and way more detailed than prac. And the only thing I did differently was photo read. And I noticed very quickly, it took me a while to believe it was true, but I noticed very quickly that all of the symptoms of what was presenting as early onset Alzheimer's just started to disappear. And within a couple of weeks, I went from the woman who could barely remember her own name and string a good sentence together, to the woman where people were commenting on my mind and the way I think and the way I process information and yada, yada, yada. And I remember sitting on that practitioner, there's a guy called Paul Vernon. Paul was running the room, like managing all the coaching teams. And I was a delegate. And people, you know, put their hand up and Paul would go over and he would lean in. Normally we're working in pairs or triads. He would lean in, he would listen to what they say, he'd answer their question, bang, next, next, next. And I just remember sitting in, it was a hotel in Kensington. I remember sitting looking at Paul and thinking, I'd love to be like that one day, that you ask me a question, I can just answer. I don't need to go away for a week or two to try and look it up and then string it together in my brain long enough for me to be able to then articulate it back to you. I'd love it. I could be in a room and you could ask me a question. It wouldn't be scripted. I wouldn't know what the question was going to be. I could just answer. That was in October 2000. I went back and did Master Prac, spanning ended November, beginning of December year 2000. And in December 2000, they offered me, the NLP training company offered me a job. Our first training was February 2001, and I was doing Paul Vernon's job. He was just standing in for someone who had left to go back to Australia. So he didn't want to do the job. They offered it to me, and suddenly within, what's that? November, December, January, 3 months, within 3 months, I was Paul Vernon. I was the one running the room, people putting their hand up, and I was the one going over and going, yeah, what's going on here? How are you getting on? Blah, 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 and just answering their questions. And so it took a series of little things happening for me to go, oh my God, I'm no longer afraid of books. I'm no longer afraid of material. I'm no longer angry, I guess I might put it, at my own brain and my own mind for failing me and letting me down. I'm now in a place where I can devour books. I'm now in a place where I feel excited about books. And I think if there was, I kind of pulled it up here because it's one that, let's see. I think this image for me sums up how I see books and also how I see photo reading. It says, behind every stack of books is a flood of knowledge. Love, 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 love this image. And, you know, and it's all just there waiting for us. It's all just waiting to be accessed. And for me, you know, for tens of thousands, well, probably hundreds of thousands of people now across the world, because photo reading has been around since 1985. It's a long time, and certainly thousands probably for me over the years. I've been a photo reading instructor since March 2002, but it has opened up a whole new magical universe for my photo reading delegates and clients and thousands of photo readers around the world. And that's basically the way I see it, that there's all of this information and data waiting there. And so for the book lovers, it's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what's next? And it is like just opening up a fantastic, amazing portal where, as I kind of open with this one, it's like unlocked. You know, what are some of the books that have changed your life? What are some of the books that you absolutely love? What are some of the books that, you know, even when you think about them, they make you smile, or it takes you back to a particular time in your life? You know, me thinking about Betty Shine and Denise Lynn. I remember the day, I remember the smell, I remember walking into Faye's shop with Acts of Faith. I remember getting it and thinking, oh my God, I used to use that book like drugs. You know, like devour what was all. And I used to, you know, I was very disciplined about it when I first got it, and I would make myself wait for the next day and the next day and the next day to read it in order and sequence. I read it throughout the whole year. So I remember those times. And of course, I remember first coming across photo reading, rolling my eyes, going, what a load of BS. And then the second time round going, whoa, this is like this is just like crazy. And so, yeah, I'd love to know, what are the books that have changed your life in terms of, you know, Book Lovers Day, and beyond that, of course, as books are an integral part of our life. What have some of the books been for you? And of course, you know, this also includes, I also include online, because not everybody reads books as in physicality of books. You can see from the bookshelf behind me, I do love books, and I love the physicality of books. But, you know, it might be stuff that you're reading online. It might be stuff that you're reading or photo reading on your Kindle. So, you know, let me know. And yeah, it's, you know, for me, I just, you know, I love the idea of books. I love what they can do for you. I love the way that they can transport you almost to another world, another place, another time, another space. And of course, just, you know, purely in terms of the handing over of knowledge. And for those of you who follow me on Facebook, one of the things, it depends on the group. When I'm teaching photo reading, I'm always going to teach the basic, you know, the 5 steps, you know, how to photo read, yada, yada, yada. And then where we go from there is really determined by the energy of the group and where the group are at in terms of their development. But one of the things that I sort of sometimes talk about, if the group is in that mind space, is the aura and the energy of books. So for those of you that follow me on Facebook, you might have seen me share the Aura Fest that is coming up. It's free of charge. It's an online training created by the same company that do photo reading. So I highly, highly, highly recommend signing up for it, because as I posted on my photo reading Facebook page, you can use the same information to see the aura of books and see the aura of information. So definitely check that one out. And for those of you who did the higher self therapy piece as well this week, one of the things that we're doing with photo reading, which again depends on where people are at in their spiritual development, some people recognize it, many don't, but when we're using the tangerine, that's taking us up into the crown chakra and the higher self. And so you might want to go back and listen to the higher self therapy MP3, because what I taught you through there will also make it easier for you to absorb books and information and materials. So have a play with both of those if you so choose. And actually, if you're watching this in real time, I've had a really interesting time with the GoFundMe stuff. It's been, yeah, some major highs, some major lows. It's just been interesting. But one of the things I've decided to do today, if you're on my e-newsletter list, you guys have had advance notice. I sent it out, this morning, is I'm doing an art and autism kind of sale. So on some of my coaching and therapy and training products, and included in that is the photo reading if you wanted to book for next year, and also included in that is a deal for the online photo reading as well. So if you want to kind of get your book lover energy on, and I think, have I got it in here? I think I loaded it up. Ooh, let me see. Did I? Maybe I didn't. Hang on, I'm just having a quick look to see if I put her in here. Maybe I did not. But there was a woman who came to the, not that one. No, I don't think I put it in here. But there was a woman who came to the photo reading workshop who she was doing a teacher training course. She was thinking of giving up, because she was like, she said to the group, look, if any of you have insomnia, take this book, I guarantee it will just put you to sleep. Because she was struggling, just was not getting through it at all. And so, put the book down with a massive slam on the Friday. And by the Sunday afternoon, I'm just walking around the room, and then I'm at my desk, I'm doing some stuff, and I heard her say, oh, where's my little baby? Where's my little Bible? And I thought, let me just see which book she reaches for. And sure enough, she went for the book that she hated on Friday. She was now in love with that book. And I took a photo of her holding the book. So it's a whopper. Let me just make sure I haven't, no, I don't think I did actually. So we got that. No, I don't think I've, I kind of haven't got the picture to hand. Actually, let me just go there, because I'm just checking, because I thought I looked at it earlier. Sorry, just having a little nosy just to see if I put it in there. Oh, there, of course it's there. There you go, I thought I did. So this is her, and because I heard her, I watched to see what was going to happen in terms of, oh, where's my little book? Where's my little baby? And I was like, okay. And the grin on her face. So I said, hold it right there. I said, that's a moment right there. And she was holding the book cover on. And I went, no, turn it the other way so that we can see how thick it is. But this is a woman who was going to give up on a career that she had devoted several years to in terms of studying and training, because she was finding the reading and the studying too hard going, and she had lost her love of books. Now that's what happens to many people when they're studying, whether they're at school, at college, university, postgrad, going back to higher education, or working and then studying for a work qualification. It happens to a lot of people. They fall out of love with books, and I know that within the space of 2.5 days you could totally fall back in love, even with a book that you think is as dull as dishwater. Doesn't have to be exciting, because this is a book about teaching. And so, but I wanted to capture the moment, because I think in terms of Book Lovers Day, seeing the way the relationship changes with people and books, particularly if they are coming with, you know, what they would consider to be a presenting problem, like dyslexia, like dyspraxia. You guys will know if you followed me for a while. I've even had people who've had brain damage come on photo reading and reverse the brain damage and, you know, reduce, if not get rid of, the effects of brain inflammation. So, you know, it's worked in some incredible ways, and what it does, the net result of it, people fall in love, and not just with books, not just with information, but they fall in love with themselves. They fall in love with their brain, they fall in love with their mind, they fall in love with their memory, because suddenly now they are reminded about the power that we have as human beings. So totally love books, would love to hear your thoughts. And one book, so we talked about 4. One book I would say that I've recommended this book a lot. Whenever somebody says, I want something to read, I just like, I've totally got the book. And every single person I've recommended it to that has read the book either online or, you know, purchased a copy has come back and gone, whoa, whoa, whoa. It just, it's mind-blowing. When the first time I read it, you know, photo reading aside, because of course, you know, it takes just 5 minutes to photo read a book from start to finish, and you can, you know, even beginning photo readers can get what they want out of a book in 10-15 minutes, sometimes even a lot less than that. And with this one, there's a thing in photo reading called rapid reading, which is the closest thing to your regular reading. Could not put the book down. I just ate that thing up word for word because it was so freaking mind-blowing. So if you would like to know what that book is, it's going to be simple. Let's have a little bit of fun. Share this video. You know, so share the video. Of course, I get a ping back when somebody shares it, and what I will do is I'll DM you the name of the book, because it's one that a lot of people haven't heard of. The reasons for that become obvious when I give you the backstory of the book, but when people have read it, it's honestly, it changed my view of the world. It changed my perception on a number of things. It's also, because I'm a big fan of masterminding as well. Actually, tonight is the photo reading master. Actually, if anybody's watching, if you're doing the photo reading mastermind group tonight, remember that we're doing the HUNA and Access Consciousness. So come with stuff that you want to clear and want to shift and want to change around reading, learning, memory, intuition, creativity, decision making, critical thinking, whatever it is, because we're doing the clearing stuff tonight. But you know, I'm a fan of masterminding, and this just took the idea of that to a whole other level. But it can also change your perception of the way that you see the world, the way that you see organized religion, the way that you see mindset, the way that you see and understand the human psyche. It's really, really powerful stuff. So if you would like a copy of, sorry, I just had a question ping up on my iPad. If you'd like a copy of that, just share the video and I'll DM you the name of the book. It's a little bit controversial. Don't get put off by the name. Don't let it scare you. But I'll blow your mind and just open you up in, I think, and everybody, of course, receives it differently depending on where they are. I first read it probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. So I was well into personal development by then. And even then, it just like, whoa, are you kidding me? So yeah, it's big stuff. So in terms of just that question, the question is, with regards to photoing, do you have to learn by tapes? I know what you mean. No, you've got several options nowadays. When I first started, you know, the tapes were the way to go because there weren't really any instructors in the UK. So nowadays, of course, there's CDs. Don't worry, you won't need a tape cassette machine. I've just kept them for nostalgia reasons. So there's a home study course where, again, you just put your CD in, learn at your own pace. And that comes with the photo reading book. It comes with also, because one of the first things you do is the dictionary game. So it comes with your dictionary, and it also comes with a bigger version actually of the playbook. But it's kind of your quick reference guide with all of the kind of information. So that's one of the ways. There's also, of course, photo reading workshop, and there are instructors all over the world. I'm based in the UK, of course, but got a bit of fluff. But depending on where you are in the world, just check the Learning Strategies website. It lists all of the instructors there. And also for people who want almost like the middle ground, you don't necessarily just want to listen to a CD, but you can't make it to a live workshop if you wanted to study with me. Cool, I'll answer that as well. If you wanted to study with me, So I've done a video course. So it's a one-day training, full one day, about 6 or so hours. And people have said it's like, actually, I think that was the one where, I think that was on one of the pieces that I shared earlier on. That was one. So one of the first people who said it said, I've got this DVD. It's so good. You feel as though you're a fly on the wall in the classroom. So that was from a solicitor, barrister, attorney for you guys in America. And so she did the online video DVD, and that's my intention. When I filmed it, my intention was you would feel like you were there with us in the room. So and that comes as, you know, it's kind of lifetime access. Once you've got it, you can watch it at your own pace and go back to whatever you need to. And then there's an option for that also, if people wanted to do some, hang on, I'm just going to grab a bit of water. If people wanted also to do some Skype coaching, because I've got a lot of clients out in Australia who do this one. I have had one person fly from Australia to do the photo reading workshop, but that's a big distance. And so, you know, there's also the option of that, of just, you know, do the DVD. And I've had loads of people who've just done the DVD and done amazingly. Some of you would have heard me share the story of Sita recently, who had gone back to study, professional study, had failed, took herself through the DVD, really no input from me, and went from being really worried and nervous to being calm and focused in the exam, and was able to recall her mind maps from memory. So, you know, you can take yourself through it. And there's also the option of Skype coaching if you wanted a bit of one-to-one stuff. I have known people who've also taught themselves just from the photo reading book that's available from my website as well. So yeah, you've got several options. And somebody said they missed when I started, so can I just recap the books? Yes, I can. So one of the first ones that really did it for me, Denise Lynn, Signposts. And that is about, I guess, universal synchronicities and signs. Second one that I talked about was Betty Shine, Mind Magic. Betty Shine was a medium, again, alien to me at that time. The one, Acts of Faith, this is by Ayanna Van Zandt, and that was more aspirational. So this is what I call a contrast frame book, because I can look back at it now and see how much my life has changed since then. And then the fourth one was the photo reading book, which was the thing that helped turn around what for me was thought to be early onset Alzheimer's, to, you know, nowadays, well, if you've been to a workshop or done some coaching, or, you know, done some of the energy clearing calls, you'll know that my mind is good. so that's that. So yeah, those were, and then the fifth one, share the video, and I'll DM you the name of the fifth one. So that is that. So thank you. In terms of one that the message has just popped up, the Aura Fest is completely free. It's not run by me, it's run by Learning Strategies Corporation. I've shared the link. What I'll do is I'll put the link into the comments of this video. I can also put it in the description as well. So the Aura Fest is completely free of charge. That's not run by me. The Higher Self Therapy session, I ran it this week as a live session, but we've also recorded it, and so that one is run by me, and I'll put the link in again into the comments and description of this video if you wanted to. And actually, for those of you who did take part, thank you for the feedback, and I put some of that in a blog last night as well. It's just been mind-blowing. Just, you know, listen to a 1 hour session, wake up the next morning feeling different. That's, how crazy cool is that? And actually somebody was prepping for an interview. I ran it on Tuesday at 1 o'clock UK time. The interview was not long afterwards, and well, you can read it in the blog in terms of how she described how she felt with the interview. And she went from being, oh my God, nervous, I'm not sure I'm right for the job, I'm not sure I'm good enough for the job, and lacking confidence, went on to the interview having done the higher self call, completely freaking nailed it, and she's been invited for a second interview. So you can read it in her own words in the blog. I'll put that in the link as well. So that one is run by me. It's an Eventbrite page. I'll put the link in. But actually, for any of you who took part in that, you know, do let me have your feedback. And what I also want to know is about pricing, because it's at a nominal price at the moment, just for the next day or so. But I am am going to be changing the pricing. So for those of you who took part, I want you to go tell me how much would you be happy to pay for that, for what we did, and the change and transformation that you've received in the first 24 hours, because that's when a lot of people had gotten back to me, and of course over the coming days and weeks. So email me with your thoughts about pricing, because I'm going to change the pricing on that one. But yeah, that's it. That's cool. Well, thank you so much for watching. Happy Book Lovers Day. And if you have lost your love and passion for books, or you think you do not have the time to read, then by all means come and join me for a photo reading training, because it is completely life-changing. As I'm sure if you follow me for long enough, you would have seen the various, you know, testimonials and videos and blogs from my various clients. So yeah, but just thought I'd do a little something for Book Lovers Day. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for your questions, and remember, if you want to know the 5th book, which is a complete game changer and will just open your mind up in ways that you probably can't even imagine, share this video and I'll DM you the link. So Marilyn Devonish from Transformations. Oh, actually, one other thing. If you are watching and you're listening rather than looking, because I know sometimes people just listen to the audio, the website, if you wanted further information about the photo reading, is www.trance, T-R-A-N-C-E, as in hypnotic trance, formations, F-R-M-A-T-I-O-N-S, TM as in trademark.com. So www.transformationstm.com/photo reading. But if you just check the tabs along the top, you'll see information for the photo reading workshop, photo reading home study course, which is now the CDs, and also the online video DVD training and the photo reading book. Cool. Well, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you happen to be situated in the world. And thank you so much for joining me. Catch you later. Bye-bye.